Welcome to your essential business briefing. I'm Stephen Carroll. Coming up, the coronavirus recession is coming, but where will be worst hit? We'll bring you a report from the spluttering engine of the Eurozone economy. The fashionable face mask company that's seen an explosion in orders, even though it doesn't protect wearers from the virus. And amid stock market turmoil, a rush to mine gold in Australia that's run into a bat problem. First, though, to the warnings of a looming recession due to the coronavirus outbreak. Economies like Italy's were already in a fragile state before the drastic quarantine measures were put in place. The head of Germany's influential IFO Research Institute has warned that Europe's biggest economy could also fall into recession. Clemence Fuest saying almost every company was feeling the effects of the crisis. Our correspondents in Germany have been taking the temperature in the business community and sent us this report.
The gears have ground to a halt here since the start of the epidemic. The boss at this factory, making motors for cranes, has had to suspend several projects. Because to make cranes, he needs steel from China. And because of the coronavirus, the Chinese aren't sending what he needs.
We've already lost several €100,000, and it will be millions if this continues. We have big plans for the future, and we can't complete them as we want to, despite having planned for it in the budget. We're really being slowed down.
Working hours have been cut back, and the company plans to go to short-time, lower-paid shifts. The big machine tool sector and several others in Germany are really out of shape. And as the virus spreads, the health minister is preparing for the worst.
We can feel the restrictions every day. Whatever happens, the key principle is clear. When in doubt, the safety of the population comes before economic interests.
To keep the economy going, the government wants to facilitate short-time work and provide bridge loans to struggling companies. The German economy is already being slowed down by commercial conflicts with the United States and China, as well as Brexit. The coronavirus could tip it into a recession.
The growth figures for the last quarter of 2019 were already very weak. So obviously nobody can say what the consequences of the virus will be. But if things get worse, it's going to get very difficult for the German economy.
Despite widespread worry, one business sector is booming. Since news broke of the first coronavirus case in Germany, consumers have taken supermarkets in Berlin by storm. Sales figures are up 40%.
While the virus has been bad for many businesses, some are seeing a huge increase in demand. People have been panic buying things from toilet paper to hand sanitizer to face masks. Now that's caused shortages for even the biggest manufacturers, but what about the smaller firms? Scough is an American company that makes scarves with a built-in air filter. As you might imagine, they've been quite busy, leading them to tweet recently that they were selling out of everything they've ever made. Andrew Kessler is the founder of Scough, and he joins us now from New York. Andrew, thanks for being with us. I'm glad to see that you are wearing a scarf, but can you explain to our viewers what exactly it is and where you came up with the idea?
A scarf is a smash word of scarf and cough put together, and it's a filter that sits inside of a bandana or scarf. We came up with the idea about 5 years ago after a trip to Hong Kong, where we saw everyone who was sick or feeling unwell would wear a mask, and sort of wondered, why don't people in North America do the same thing? And so we had this little design experiment where we tried to make a more comfortable, more wearable, more effective face mask that people would use to protect each other from getting sick. And that idea was the Scough. We worked with product designers and a defense contractor who makes the filters inside gas masks to create a flat filter that would tuck neatly into a scarf or bandana.
So you've been going for a few years now. How big was the business until 2020?
You know, it's been a really a small business that we run as a side project out of our marketing firm. Really, we kept it alive for a niche audience of people who have immunosuppression issues. They're going through chemotherapy, or hobbyists, people who ride motorcycles, bike in sort of smoggy areas. They were really just a core niche audience of fans who are very passionate about their scarves. And so we kept this sort of very small business with not too many employees going up until very recently when sort of there's a huge global demand for what we were doing.
So explain to me what happened then. It was around the time the CDC were talking about, the importance of covering your mouth and that sort of thing, that you saw a huge change in your business. What happened?
So as the COVID cases started making daily newscasts, we saw a real rise in our numbers and people coming to the website. And then it just was sort of this exponential growth where it was just doubling every day until we ran out of everything, even all of our raw materials. So it was just this kind of real crazy explosion. And then now just a cavalcade of emails every day asking when we're getting stuff back in stock.
And how soon do you think you'll be able to resupply?
We're working very quickly to do, or as quickly as we can, to get things back in stock. We're hoping within the next 4 to 6 weeks, just lots of supply chain disruptions happening right now, so it's a bit complicated. We're also not really geared up for such demand, but we're working as fast as we can to get back in stock.
And to be clear, the Scough doesn't protect you against COVID-19?
So, no mask can guarantee protection against COVID-19. I think people like us because we're a physical barrier. The virus usually travels on some spittle, and it's nice that if you are not feeling well, that you protect other people around you, so you have a physical barrier. And then our barrier happens to come with a pretty high efficiency filter that tucks into it.
So where does it sit in the terms of a surgical mask, or the kind of ones that you see people buying more commonly? Does it give as much protection as they do?
Yeah, so it would be on par with any sort of physical barrier. It's really about the seal that you're able to get with the mask. So it depends, right? Because even in your question, there's a whole lot of nuance in what kind of certification each mask has, and then what you're trying to protect against. So it's not that easy of a question to even answer. Obviously, if you're a first responder, you need to be wearing an N95 surgical respirator. These are masks that are certified by the FDA. But if you're wanting to feel like that you have some physical barrier, if you have a cough, then you can look for the CDC recommendations, and a physical barrier is one of the things that they recommend.
Okay. Going back to the supply issues that you have, I'm wondering if you've been affected by the shortage of materials coming from China. Do you source any of your materials from there?
Yeah, that's right. So we source one of our materials from China, and it's been very complicated. There's sort of a global shortage of it. It goes into it's one of the key ingredients for making a mask, and so there's sort of this global shortage of it now, and we're looking to source it in other places.
So what's next then for Scough? Do you see this becoming a bigger business after you've seen this sudden demand for your product?
Well, what's interesting is that it seems to be a kind of change in people's willingness to wear masks in general. So I think that will catapult into a more regular demand. People are asking better questions about masks. It's really fuel for us to make better designs. This is kind of why we got into this in the beginning, is could we make a better mask? It's a really hard design challenge. And now this sort of excitement and this interest allows us to keep that design process going and hopefully make even better ones.
Okay, Andrew Kessler from Scough, thank you very much for joining us from New York. Now, while the stock markets have been on a roller coaster in recent days over coronavirus, investors have rushed to the classic safe haven asset of gold. Higher prices mean mining companies are looking to reopen closed gold mines, including one in Australia's Northern Territory. But the project has been stalled after the discovery of a rare and endangered species of bat. Yuka Roya reports.
Deep in Australia's outback, Pine Creek is hoping for an economic revival. The town faced hard times when the price of gold declined. Mining activities were suspended a few years ago. With prices going up again lately, residents and businesses are eager to see a new gold rush.
It was started off as a mining town, always be a mining town. You definitely see it boom again. And that's a given.
One company is working to kick the mothballed Union Reef mine back into gear and is already running a mill on the site.
We're ready to go as soon as we can get approvals from the government. We've already got mining equipment sitting here. waiting to kick off mining.
But the project has hit a major stumbling block, as the closed mine has become home to this creature. Known as ghost bats, the tiny flying mammal has been on the government's threatened species list since 2016. About 20 to 30 of them are believed to be living in those shafts. Research suggests fewer than 10,000 exist on Earth, and their population is declining.
We will have an impact on them, but it's how we can positively impact them is the thing that we're working on as best we can.
The firm says it's looking for ways to provide artificial roosting sites to protect the bats, but it has yet to receive the final green light from environmental authorities to reopen the mine.
That's it from us for this week, but you can listen back to this and previous episodes of People in Profit as a podcast. And as always, you'll find the best of our business coverage online, on Facebook at France24 Business, and you can tweet me at NewStephen. Until next time, thanks for watching.
The world is ever-changing. The news doesn't wait. That's why at France 24, we'll always be there to help make sense of world events. For the best international coverage, 24 hours a day, no matter what. France 24, with you everywhere, all the time. Liberté, égalité, actualité.